Welcome to Tech Fever, Play Everything's weekly tech podcast where we break you down all the nerdy news from home theater to smart home, from AI to robots. Alongside me today is my co-host, Kevin Coello.
AI's going to make everything better.
Oh,
Don't be
God.
afraid of him.
I feel
Embrace
like,
it.
Why do you have it?
Embrace it.
You have an AI intro every week.
I mean, because you end with the AIs. You want me to talk about robots?
I think
they're going to kill us all. Run from the robots.
Thank you. That's all I've been saying. That's what I've been warning people
They can get
about.
robots to jerk you off. You're going to love these robots.
It's true. That's how you.
See, that's how they win people over.
It's always the porn industry. How you doing, Kev?
I'm doing pretty good. Got my wisdom tooth removed. Got one of my wisdom teeth removed.
I heard that was a whole.
Yeah, it didn't work out super great. Yeah.
You're talking through the whole thing, I hear.
Yeah. The general aesthetic didn't do the job it was supposed to. Everyone was surprised.
So you went in for 4.
I only got one out. So we'll figure out the other 3 later. But so if I'm slurring a little bit, it's because it's only been 3 days, 4 days, something like that.
You're a champ. I said, you have
it's
a very
fine.
high pain tolerance.
It's fine. It's all overblown. If you're going to get your teeth removed, it's not that stressful. Everyone's going to try to scare you. Be like, oh, I'm out for a week. Nah, I'm fine. I was in this 2 days later.
What we're talking about. You don't even really need them out. You know what I mean?
It's all a scam. Hear more about that KF podcast.
Yeah. Any cool tech you've been playing for the week? We're gonna get into the tech picks of the week and everything later on.
New
But
tech that I've been playing over the week. Nah, nothing new this week, unfortunately.
Nothing new.
Taking me out this weekend. It was not enough time to play with stuff.
You still had your OLED though. And your Hue.
I did.
Your
Playing
beautiful
a lot of
Hue
that
setup.
Kakarot game. The Dragon Ball Z Kakarot?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've
I
been
didn't
all
know
about
you were
that.
an anime nerd.
Oh, I love Dragon Ball Z. I love Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball Z. You know.
No, I'm saying I love it all, though. Dragon Ball's great.
That's 2 different things.
Yeah. Dragon Ball was the first series when he's a little kid. Dragon Ball Z is when he's an adult. Oh, it's pretty cool. There's also Dragon Ball Z GT, or Dragon Ball GT, but that's not canon anymore, so nobody cares about it. I haven't checked out Dragon Ball Super yet, or Kai.
It's too much. It's too much content out there.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, so I'll talk about it on just the tech review of the week, but I've been playing with the new switcher for the studio. So if any of you out there are looking to be doing podcasts, doing any kind of video production content, I'll have the impressions for you.
Don't buy the ATM.
Yeah, later in the review. But yeah, so that's been fun and also disappointing. But
we'll talk about that later.
We'll get in that later. You ready to talk some tech?
Oh, I'm ready, but...
Ready,
bud? Ready, bud?
Ready, I thought you were going for baby.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe. It's the tooth. It's the tooth. That's why.
Well, our first piece of news: rumored Galaxy S20 pricing suggests Samsung's new phones won't be cheap. Which this headline I feel is a little misleading.
It's a deceptive headline because I'm looking at the numbers that they're saying here. Those are pretty good numbers for prices now. We'll get into it in a moment.
Yeah. So essentially, according to the XDA developers, the people who leaked what we talked about on last week's podcast with all the new Samsung tech phones and the specs and the crazy 8K camera possibly, which I still think is bullshit.
It's not going to happen, but we'll see.
Especially with these pricings, is basically leaked the pricing for all the phones essentially.
Yeah,
so
the European prices.
Leaked, so the European prices go as followed. For the S20, you basically 900 to 1,000 euros. For the S20 5G, you're 1,050 euros to 1,100 euros, and for the S20 Plus 5G, terrible naming as we talked about last week, 1,300 euros. And then the Galaxy Z, foldable Galaxy Z, 1,400 euros, which...
And then convert that to real money, because none of that makes any sense.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
First of all, I don't understand other people's money, because I don't understand how that's just a €100 jump. Whereas, in U.S., which is what I'm going to be talking about now, these are the adjusted prices. So, okay, no, I'll go into the converted. So those converted is basically 900 to 1,100. For the S20 5G, about 1,160 to 1,220, and for the S20 Plus 5G, 1,440 for the S20 Ultra, and approximately 1,550 for the Galaxy Z Foldable. And then obviously in America, we get everything cheaper.
It's great. So
it's based off what Samsung's done in the past. They went ahead and converted those into the realistic numbers of what it will be. So apparently, possibly, we can see the S20 just the base S20 for $850,
which is real competitive.
Real
That's
competitive,
real competitive, especially for the baseline phone.
And again, this doesn't have like the memory, so I'm assuming this is the most base memory.
But they do have the micro SD slot, right?
Which is completely
right. And it's like now you can get up 250 no problem.
Yeah, and it supports up to a terabyte. So why would you ever do the
more expensive version where you can just add it?
Yeah,
it's cool that they're still doing that.
It is, because
a lot of phones aren't doing that anymore, and like that used to be a standard where everything had a micro SD slot, and now it's like only Samsung. I feel like, well, that's not true, but
yeah, well, and
the big phones.
They could easily take that approach too, because that's more money, right?
Yeah,
because it's
absolutely.
like you could be like, oh, the 512 one is $1,500 and completely price people out. But it's cool that they're doing that. So $850 for the S20, $950 for the S20 Plus, and $1,200 for the S20 Ultra.
$1,200 for the specs that they were talking about. We were talking about last week. Like that seems like a good deal. For
especially for what was it, a 91 megapixel camera?
I mean, like those are rumors that like I feel like that seems like
that's
crazy
the non-8K one, right? Because the 8K like megapixel
it would have to be a
leaked.
64 megapixel camera or something like that.
No,
like
higher
at minimum, right?
Well, this one's like
or
91 or 92.
Yeah,
rumored
that's crazy. That seems like such a big sensor on there.
Yeah, and I mean, if there's someone to help them do it, I mean, it would be Sony, which is interesting because Samsung usually makes the sensors for their camera.
Right.
So it's interesting that they turned to somebody else. And apparently, I don't know what phone it was, but I was talking to someone who's in the industry. Samsung actually made... that's why it's like conflicting with like being rumors. Samsung made a 91, or I think it was 102, somewhere really high. Yeah, 108, the one that was rumored last week. See, I already forgot it. They made one for another phone.
Interesting.
So
they have the
I think that was like the
technology.
the test run for that phone. Now I don't know what phone that is, and I don't know if it was a U.S. based phone. I think it was like an overseas, like where we couldn't get it.
Yeah.
So that must have been like the test run to be able to put it into their phone. So I don't know if it's gonna be a Samsung sensor or a Sony sensor. I'm interested to find out though.
But these prices are really interesting, because when we were talking the specs for the S20 Ultra, that like sounded like a really expensive phone, and if they really can get it at $1,200, like that's really competitive with like top line like Pixel phones.
Yeah, and it is with that converted, especially for the foldable too. $1,550, which means if they convert the prices, because they didn't do it on this article from CNET, they didn't convert it to like the adjustment for American. It could be less than $1,500.
Yeah, but I can see that like because that technology is so new, and like the Fold cost $2,000.
Not
like
have the adjustment.
Yeah, I could see that being closer to $1,500.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I'm sure you want to undercut Motorola with better specs.
Right.
But it's interesting to see how this particular thing is going to play out. Those seem like really reasonable prices, especially for, like we talked about last week, the specs that they're putting into it. It's more powerful than most people's laptops.
That's insane.
So, I don't...
Why do you need that much power?
I don't really believe these prices.
Yeah.
But we're going to find out if
I feel like if they want to come to market, like these are the prices they have to have. Otherwise, like they're going to be spec'd out way too high.
Are they? Because I feel like people are more and more willing to be able to spend more and more, especially when you're on these contract,
right? And it's
contract plans where it's like, oh, it's only $50 a month, or you save $200 when you activate it, and it's only $50 a month. So for 3 years, like something ridiculous like that. So again, it doesn't have that price shock anymore, because it's like, oh well, no, you're only paying this much.
Yeah.
So we will see on that. I don't believe these prices at all, though.
I don't know. I think it's possible, just on the like that they want to compete with like other phone companies, and like if you're gonna spec out a phone that's like that cool, you can't charge $2,000 for it and like think it's gonna sell. Like, is the Fold selling really well?
It's not selling terribly.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
sure they had a rough start. I'm sure if they didn't have the turbulent start that they had, people would be more willing to buy it. Whereas, like, that's one thing I wish I could go back and kind of, if you could rewind time and like have them be like, fix this. I want to see how that plays out, because I think the Fold would be immensely more popular if it didn't have that turbulent YouTube period where everyone on YouTube
Every
was like, my
influencer it's like, oh, I pulled this thing and now the screen went black. It's like, oh no. Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Justine, you had the unbox there, like everybody who ended up pulling it, and some on the camera, like when they were doing when they were unboxing it. Upsetting. How pissed would you be?
That's such an oversight. I'm sure someone got in trouble somewhere for that. Yeah.
So interesting to see how that's going to play out, especially with their new foldable. But another piece of news. I didn't have a good segue for that.
No, yeah.
I was trying to think of
Sounds good. Let's talk about this Sonos piece of news. There you go.
This one, another small story for the day, but it is important if you are if you're in the Sonos ecosystem and you have some of their older stuff. They are going to be stopping updates. Upcoming, I believe it's in May. So May they'll stop doing any updates for all their legacy products. So that's besides the Play Bar, which is like one of the oldest soundbars on the market still. It doesn't even use HDMI, still uses optical. But it's going to be interesting because they're doing the trade-in program. So if you do have the legacy piece of hardware and you want to upgrade to the new stuff that will get the updates, that's 30% off if you do like a recycle and trade-in program.
That's a bummer.
It's
just because like my mom has the first gen Sonos like little speaker.
From 2006?
I think so. She got it really cheap. I think she got it for like $15 or something. Mm-hmm. New at Best Buy, one of the Black Friday deals. Actually, I think it was 2000 or damn, it was the year I got married. 2017. That sounds right.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that like she's just had it sitting around for a long time, and I finally set it up, and like, dude, they sound so good. I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
they sound good for what they are. Like compared to like the Google Home Mini, like it's not even close. There's so much better audio quality
for the smart speaker ecosystem. Yes, I think they're the best sounding.
Absolutely, and it just sucks that like I know that right now they're saying like, oh, you know, like we'll keep like it will work for a while, but it's like for a while. So like there's gonna be a point where there's an update in the software that it makes it no longer compatible with these older models. Well,
what this article is saying is like it will work, but like if Spotify changes something or like any streaming platform changes anything, then you're kind of SOL.
Yeah.
So I mean, 30% is an alright discount, but I mean you're still paying more, and especially when you buy something like that, like especially audio. Audio is something that is like
lasts
sold
for so long.
It's sold to consumers as this is an investment. You're not really gonna have to upgrade your audio ever like that. If you buy,
it's just to think of the people that like invested on those Sonos speakers for their whole house, and like I'm sure it's something that's gonna take like 3 or 4 years before it stops working. But like I think that eventually it's gonna stop working.
And that's the thing. I think are they gonna like they're eventually gonna do this for the stuff that's out now. Which is like,
that's true, and that's one of those things that like looking forward is like it's a little scary. Like you have to think about that when you're investing your money on what speakers you're gonna buy. That's why like the like traditional speaker home like system is such a better investment because those last so much longer.
And you just gotta change out a receiver.
Right, exactly.
And you can connect a Echo and then have that go through your actual speaker system.
Mm-hmm. Or Home Assistant device.
Yeah, Home Assistant, yeah. And, you know, if you use Google or Bixby.
No one uses Bixby. You don't even pretend. That's like saying if you use a Microsoft phone.
No, it's so, what, Cortana?
Yeah.
God, so many field assistants. So much AI out there. But no, it is interesting because it is one of those things where it's like, if you're going to spend $1,600 on like a Sonos system, I recommend just investing in a good pair of like front speakers and a receiver and then just building out from there, because then you literally only have to worry about ever changing out the receiver. So if you're in the market for audio, or if even better yet, if you're in the market for audio like a Sonos system where it's completely wireless and it does Wi-Fi to connect everything, Bowers & Wilkins has a audio system. Like they just got into the wireless audio system. Though. They are expensive, but Bowers & Wilkins is one that's gonna keep the updates coming, right?
Yeah.
Like they.
Well, you'd think. I don't know. I feel like Sonos showing that it's not necessarily gonna keep the legacy devices going is kind of like a big thing to like. It requires time and effort to make sure that this works with like future versions of whatever device. Like this is one of those things like in 4 years, we're gonna have a totally different OS for Android and for Apple, and it's like, are they gonna make apps that will connect with that device? No, exactly. And it's like that's a bummer, but like that is the world we live in, where like now even what's the brand you just said, Bowers? Like Are they going to keep it up?
That's their whole marketing on it,
Yeah.
right? It is that we're Bowers & Wilkins. We do component audio. It lasts forever. You just have to change out like the receiver. We're going to keep these up. Like that's why they did optical, because they went their route of optical too instead of HDMI.
The problem with optical, though, it doesn't have anywhere near as many channels as HDMI can do.
Not channels, but pass through on audio formats, right?
Right.
So like Atmos, things like that, kind of out the window.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, if you're getting an audio system and you want great audio and you want something that isn't going to be outdated in 3 years when HDMI 2.2 comes out and you're stuck with the HDMI 2.0, like that's why they did it, right? Is so they can keep updating it. That's their whole selling point is they're just going to add things to it, but they're going to keep updating the stuff that they have.
Do you know that Sonos has a deal right now with IKEA?
No.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Sonos speakers that they sell at IKEA, or Sonos branded IKEA speakers.
Don't they have furniture with inbuilt Sonos stuff too?
I'm not sure about that, but I know that like I was at IKEA recently, and one of the things I noticed is like they have a little section for home automation because they're doing a big push, trying to like move it.
So profitable. You're gonna see so many of these companies.
It's such a good thing. They had like a wireless charger that was like $15, and which is a great price point for a wireless charger, but like. It integrating with like IKEA stuff that makes it so much more reasonable. I think it was only like $100 for the speaker, and it sounded all right. It wasn't phenomenal, but it's just like that's such a smart play to do.
Yeah,
because IKEA is like a big company, and it's like
in
that's people's first furniture. A lot of times,
that's like the next like cash cow. To be honest, is so many people want to do the lights, so many people want to do the cameras, and like
it's interesting that the IKEA lights work with Hue systems. Do you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can trick them.
So they have their whole smart. Like
lighting system, lighting system. I don't know what it's called. It's some
interesting
Swedish word.
Interesting. Yeah. So I mean that's the one thing with this. It's like it sucks. I'd be pissed if I bought a Sonos system, and then you announce this, and it's like, component audio is always better. Please always go component audio. I was even thinking about buying a soundbar, but I'm like, for the price I'm gonna buy that soundbar, I'm just gonna save up for like a 2.0 channel sound system and then just build from there. Yeah. Like why do you need to go like $1,600 Sonos system and then have it be outdated in 5 years? I guess it's more than 5 years because 2006 was their original lineup.
Yeah, that's true.
And they are still doing the Play Bar, which is one of the oldest soundbars, like I said, on the market. So I would be really weary as a consumer, though.
Yeah.
So that's a bummer. If you have a Sonos, I'm sorry.
Well, you got an old Sonos.
Don't get more Sonos.
I don't know. I like again. They're so easy to set up and they work well when they're set up.
The latency though, and it's like you can get something so much better sounding.
It's true. That's true.
For like $400 more, like $2,000.
That's a lot of difference though.
But you can. But here's the thing: you don't have to change it. Versus another $1,600 in 10
Yeah, but
years.
I feel like your average consumer isn't aware of this, and if they still have like my mom's not gonna understand that like these speakers don't work the same way.
Watch TechFever. You know what I mean? Understand what's going on. This next piece of news is probably one of the most fascinating pieces of news on the docket today. Huawei signs deal with TomTom for a Google Maps alternative. Chinese phone maker Huawei will work with Dutch digital map company TomTom to put maps on its phones. Reuters reports a TomTom spokesperson told Reuters the deal closed sometime ago, but it went public late last week. While TomTom maintains self-brand apps on iOS and Android, Reuters describes Huawei building its own apps with TomTom maps, traffic information, and navigation tools. TomTom had previously provided data for Apple Maps.
And those work so well.
Yeah. Well, they've gotten a lot better.
That's true. They have gotten a lot better.
Significantly better.
But they had a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people were pissed that, like, this map never knows exactly where I am.
Especially if you go into the city. Yeah. Like, any kind of city, it's just lost. It doesn't know where you are.
This is an interesting, news story because of, like, Google's involvement with Huawei. It's one of those things
pulling
that, like,
out.
Yeah.
Right, and they're going to be pulling out, and especially with all these...
and Huawei's a big company, dude, and it's gotten so big over the last, 3 years.
I mean, what isn't it the number one or number two?
I think it's number 2, right?
Number 2, and then Samsung, right?
Yeah.
Number 2 phone manufacturer in the world. And they're about to be without an OS. Like, Google's pulling out, the government's pulling out. Like, you can't buy them in the U.S. Banned. Like, you can't get them. And then they're advising people not to, because what a lot of people were doing was they were importing them and then, getting them connected over here. But you're about to not have an OS.
It's crazy.
So it's like that's not even like a real alternative. And then, like, let's say you do import it and you use their bootleg OS that they're gonna have, because OS is so hard to nail.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's such an important component to a phone.
Do you remember when smartphones first came out and
Yeah,
Microsoft had their OS, Sony had their OS?
I mean, I was joking about the Windows Phone earlier, where it was like nobody had that because it just was such a terrible platform.
And it was right when they did the Windows 10, right? Where Windows 10 came out and it was garbage. And
it was like, hey, Tiles is our new thing, and it was like nobody likes Tiles.
And you want it on the go? You want Tiles on the go? And then Sony has been notoriously bad with interfaces, and they on their Xperia lineup they had their own interface.
That is unfortunate because the I don't know if you ever messed around with the old I think it's called the X1.
They're cool. Sony phones.
They're
have always
cool.
been cool.
I've always liked their bodies a lot. They're very square, very sleek looking phones that have the camera button was always isolated in a good way. It was easy to access, but the OS was crap.
Yeah.
And again, that's when Android exists, and it's such an I love Android's OS specifically because you can make changes to whatever you want. You could install a different launcher and design the menu how you want, and I love that flexibility. It's hopefully, well, I mean, I don't really care. I don't buy Huawei phones.
You're not gonna get Huawei.
But it's one of those things that's it's interesting. I'm curious to see how China's market reacts to that long term.
I mean, you are now being secluded from the biggest,
the most popular OS, mobile OS.
I just you're gonna have to make your own Instagram and your own YouTube and all this
the other
stuff.
thing is that's such a big market that they'll figure something out, and I wonder if that eventually, once everything cools down with terraforms that we're having, is that something that could find its way overseas?
Do you want it though?
No, I mean, I don't want it, but if the price is lower, people are gonna buy it.
Well, it's the same thing with TikTok, right? It's that's a Chinese company, and the military is it's a mandate to not have that on government phones, because it is collecting data. So it's when you are so intrinsically tied to a government like that, and that's what we were talking about last week with
DJI
with Apple. Well, with Apple, right? With the backdoor thing and having
right. But also DJI, where it's they stopped using them for the government because they were that company's too
because all Chinese companies are going to be tied in. If the Chinese company is going to come knocking on or a Chinese government's going to be knocking on the Chinese company's door, being hey, we need this data, they're not going to say no,
right?
Because they're funded by them. That's where a lot of the money gets to fund Huawei and TCL and all these companies is from the Chinese government. So it is interesting that what they're going to have to do, because they are going to have to make a bootleg Instagram, and it's only going to be for Huawei users. Really? I mean, I guess they can launch it on an Android. I guess could they? I mean, I don't even know.
That's such a foreign thing. It's so or it's secondary app companies are remember Amazon launched their app store.
Yeah. Terrible.
That you had to download and it would give you warnings of hey, this is not approved through our system.
Yeah.
And it was just that was such a mess.
Well, and then on top of that as well, it's what if they nail it?
No, yeah, that's true. That's what I'm saying. It opens the door to more possibilities.
Well, and then they can get a stronghold, and then now it's almost they don't need Google.
Yeah,
they're stronger, and then now you have an OS that's completely run by the Chinese government.
Yeah.
But with the TomTom thing, especially with navigation, you brought up with Apple, it's so hard to nail. It is such a hard thing to nail. So, especially with TomTom, how is this gonna work? Is it gonna be good? It's gonna take a while to get good. Everything on Huawei stuff is gonna have to take some time to get good. So I'm interested to see how that turns out. It's fascinating to me because Amazon's not pulling out. They said their app will be available on Huawei phones. They're not gonna turn down no money.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, anything else to add on top of this?
No, I'm curious to see what this app ends up looking like, and I wonder if it's going to come to other platforms. It's a Dutch company, so if they make this app and they're trying to push it, you could see it on the Google Store.
They already have a TomTom app.
Yeah. And this was it saying that it's not going to be branded TomTom?
I mean, I think they're doing just like Google, right? It's Google Maps, but TomTom helped with a lot of the navigation part of Google Maps, which, like you said, when it first came out, wasn't great. Yeah. So it's if they're doing that, Apple Maps, yeah. Did I say Google Maps?
Yeah, that's all right.
My bad. And then with this, it's okay, you're gonna have a Huawei Maps, and then it's gonna just be powered by TomTom. That's what I would imagine would happen.
Yeah.
Man, it's interesting because it is like.
Do you think that like I wonder how long this is gonna last? Like I wonder if eventually Huawei gets like the okay again to be sold here.
I don't think so.
Do you think then it follows suit that like other companies based out of China are gonna have issues?
Yeah, I mean that's what I was saying on our first episode when we were talking about the CES news with TCL doing phones. It's like, why is that different than Huawei? Like, sure, they're a proven company right now in terms of like TVs, but it's like, who's to say that the Chinese, the same thing, Chinese government could still go to them and be like, hey, we need this information. Yeah. And then they have the information. Like, there's nothing you can do about that. So I think that is going to be trouble for most Chinese companies in America. I hope not, because someone like TCL has a lot of promise, but you're unfortunately tied to that government, which could make, that just not a reality for you in terms of like the American market. We'll see.
We will indeed.
We will find out. Retail.
It's not good.
Not great.
Yeah, they're having some issues, aren't they?
Bose is closing all of its retail stores in North America, Europe, Japan, and Australia. So this is one where it's like, I think I've seen a Bose store once in my life.
Is there one in San Francisco?
I don't think so, off the top of my head.
I was thinking about Shure. Then Shure has a store downtown.
What mall would have like a Bose? Because typically it's like a shopping mall store.
Yeah. Well, the store I'm talking about, the Shure store, Shure mics. Yeah. That is a standalone store, like in the middle of downtown by Union Square.
I didn't know they had one.
Yeah, it's not a good store. I went there because we use Shure mics for our wireless mics.
And your non-wireless mics.
Yeah. Yeah. And I went to look at what the receivers, like the actual mics that plug into the receiver packs. Like, I wanted to see different models, and like the dude had no idea what I was talking about. And it was one of those things where I was like, dude, I came here to ask specifically about that. And it's like, all right, whatever.
Well,
but like that's the retail experience, you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of times people don't know what the products are 100% to like the degree that I want them to.
That's unfair though. Because like that could have been a new guy that you're dealing with.
I talked to two different guys. And it's just one of those things that like when I go to Home Depot and I ask some dude about screws, he's telling me shit I've never heard before, and like
but they're like men,
Yeah,
I mean, they're like men who've been
I
working
want
with their hands.
I want my retail guys that work at like a tech store to know everything about it, telling me what the difference is on the different types of mics. And my experience at Shure was not that, and it's like I imagine Bose doesn't make. I don't think they're making the types of mic that I'm talking about, but it's one of those things that like that's the problem with retail. Like when it's like you don't have to try it when you can buy it and return it, online, and that's what they were saying. Where it's like all their sales are going through e-commerce. So like, why have stores? What's the point of it? It sucks because a lot of people lose their jobs.
Well, and then Sony too. Sony, you saw this with Sony when they shut down all their Sony stores too. Yeah. But it is one of those things where it's like, so cool. There are places that are doing it right. Yeah. Like obviously at any place you're gonna have like the shithead teenager who doesn't care and who just is there for a paycheck. But
it's so cool when you talk to someone like you go to Best Buy and like you talk to the TV guy and he knows.
Well, that's also because they pour so much money into training.
Yeah. But that's good. That gets sales. They have a Bose store in Palo Alto.
Yeah. Well, not no more. Which is unfortunate because obviously these people are going to be displaced, and it's more retail going to the wayside and more business going to Amazon. And I like the retail store. Like I like being able to go and see.
I've been to the store, the Bose one.
Yeah. Well, and especially when it's like a specific brand, like the Sony stores, I loved.
Yeah.
Wasn't it a Palo Alto one too, or was that a San Francisco?
Well, the one that I remember is the PlayStation store that they had in the Metreon downtown.
But they had like a Sony branded store too.
That store like transitioned, like where you'd go to like the left and it would turn into the Sony store.
Got it.
And they had like all the nice cameras, the Alphas on display and
the
stuff.
The Alphas, the Xperia. Yeah, I like that because it is, especially when it's like nerdy and specific like that. It doesn't make sense though, like because it's like that's such like a small niche in the market. Especially for Bose, right? Yeah. Because like you're up against Sonos, you're up against Samsung, you're up against LG.
The other thing is like Best Buy has displays of Bose, and you can try 4 different versions and be like, oh, which one do I like best? So it's like,
which is interesting. They didn't even mention that in this though. They were like, our sales are online. Yeah, online sales, which is crazy to me, especially when you're thinking of audio. It's like there are people just being like, oh yeah, it's Bose. Like
but that's the thing. It's the name. Like Bose has enough name recognition that like people go to them because they're like, oh, they're the people that developed the sound canceling technology.
Their lifestyle system, right?
Yeah.
Their home theater like lifestyle system. 3,500, 4,500, right? Crazy amounts of money. And if that were like their little receiver that they have with it, shits the bed, you're SOL. Like you have to buy a whole new system.
That's crazy.
So it's like the fact that people would just be like, oh, Bose, just like to me, because
those little speakers look so damn cool though.
Yeah, but
you know
like,
what I mean?
To me,
especially the Best Buy display that has like the 6 speakers that are all like hanging over you.
Yeah,
it's a good little setup.
It is, but like for $4,000, you get something where you could change the receiver when that shit's the bed, and it's like, it bums me out because I really do like retail. Like I really do like going into the store.
I think that big stores like Best Buy, like they've gone through it. They had their bad moment where things didn't look great for them, and they seem to be recovering, and things are going okay for them.
Well, that's the last showroom. That's the last showroom. Like there's no more like you can't get a showroom anywhere. Like
you ever go to Fry's?
Yeah. So Fry's. If you don't have a Fry's in your area,
well, it's because they're closed.
Well, no, they're still open.
Yeah, but the one here closed. A bunch of them
but
closed.
Fremont's still open.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So and it's dead. Like they used to be so cool back in the day. They each had like a theme and like, but it's just empty and it's like it's not really a showroom. Like I went to the Fry's in Fremont in the Bay Area.
What's their theme?
I went like science.
Oh.
Really like old it looked like 1980s like displays like shit that you see at like Knott's Berry Farm.
The Western one was always so silly where it's like, oh yeah, they built this a long time ago and they just left it up.
Yeah, they didn't update anything.
But it was cool. I always enjoy going into a big like store, like specifically a tech store that big that has so much variety where you're looking at video cards. Granted, you're looking at a bunch of video cards that are out of date and like you're not trying to buy those. Yeah. But like holding a physical box, it's so cool.
Yeah, and seeing it, right? And a lot of it is like seeing it, playing with it. And obviously a lot of these big box stores aren't gonna have like everything. Yeah. But like Circuit City, like I loved going into Circuit City.
Circuit City was a lot of fun.
I love Circuit City. That I was such a Circuit City boy before I was a Best Buy boy. It was like that was like my store, and like it sucks that that's kind of going away. Like Best Buy is the last showroom.
Right, and even Best Buy is also really diversifying their stuff. Where now they've got a huge section for like appliances, the gaming section, like toys.
And that's why they've done so well. And they're really shifting into like subscriptions and services, and like that's kind of what they want to do instead of just selling. Is like you need someone to fix your tech. Yeah. So it's like that's where a lot of their money's coming from. Is like
it still upsets me that like Radio Shack like went the way like is gone.
I hated Radio Shack.
I loved Radio Shack because it was like a place where like there's been so many times there was a Radio Shack close to Kind of Funny Studios, and every once in a while we'd need a very specific cable that like would take a week to get here if we ordered on Amazon versus going to Radio Shack and like kind of like making something work with like going through the bins and being like, this will work.
Yeah, I'm sure I would love it now.
Yeah.
As a kid, my mom was like, oh, we're going to Radio Shack. I was like, ugh. And because it was just wires and like a bunch of shit.
See, I would just stand there and like read the wire names and like be like, okay, that's what this cable is. Toslink. Huh.
How can I connect this into this to make this thing work? Production. But yeah, so that's upsetting. I apologize to any of the Bose workers. I'm sure they'll land on their feet. Like Best Buy is always hiring. They can get a job somewhere in retail if they want to stay with retail. But it is unfortunate. I think that's one of the last like specific stores that are like fading out. I'm sure there's a few more, but
those Microsoft stores, their days are numbered.
Are there Microsoft stores still?
Yeah, downtown they got the big one still. Got the little 3D printer just
that's next.
constantly going.
That's next.
Little Connect setups.
Yeah, I can't imagine that lasting too long.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because then you see Amazon getting into retail.
Have you gone to one of these Go stores?
Mm-mm. Have you?
It's yeah, I did. We went. We were watching a movie near one, and we walked by, and like on our way to the movie, we like me and Joey downloaded the app, and on our way out, we went in there, scanned our little code. Shopped around, grabbed a couple things, just walked out, got a little email. It was like, hey, you were charged $16 for all those things. And it's like, oh, it's so cool.
What was it exact? Did you go through it?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it didn't mess up anything.
That's perfect. Cool. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. They're opening another one in the big mall downtown in San Francisco, the Westfield Mall.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yeah. Right in the food court.
That's so unfortunate, though.
Why?
So many people are going to be out of jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that this technology is going to get picked up. I think right now it's a novelty where it's like most of the things it sells are snacks or like quick go foods.
Well, that's how it starts, right?
Yeah.
That's how everything starts. Like, that's how foldable phones are going to start.
But also, like, I mean, every company is now doing like, you know, hey, here's the thing where you can pay yourself. You don't need to have a clerk ring you through. And it's like, you know, they're downsizing on jobs there too.
Yeah.
Or automation is going to get rid of a lot of jobs in the future.
Yeah.
We're all aware of that. That sucks.
Yeah, and that's what's scary about it all is like, what's the solution? Nobody's really coming with the solution. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, there's nothing you can do.
Universal pay has been thrown around, right? Everyone gets a base pay.
To me, I feel like that's the most logical.
Yeah,
it's just
that's a hard sell though.
But when
especially in like
it's
a
not
country
gonna
where it's like your bootstraps, you make everything for yourself, you know?
Yeah, but it's not gonna be in 30 years when it's like, not even 30 years, like 20 years, where it's like, okay, well now all drivers are laid off.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
And it's gonna be too late. So it's like we got to think of something now because like people are literally going to be without jobs. Yeah. Like the trucking company is one of the biggest industries in America. Yeah. And then all of a sudden those people are going to be laid off. Then you have retail workers for the people who don't double down on like what Best Buy does, like people.
Right.
And who double down on like Walmart. Let's just cut our
bottom line as much as we can. Yeah,
exactly. And make it work. I don't know.
That's those companies get bigger though, you know?
Scary time.
Yep.
Scary time. Speaking of scary times.
No, this is good news. I like this story.
I know it's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Trying to come in with the segue. ESA opens plant that turns moon dust into oxygen.
Did you know that moon dust has a lot of oxygen in it?
No, I didn't.
I did.
Yeah, but it's crazy reading from this that basically they.
This is one of those things that like I saw a video of. Maybe like 8 years ago. Maybe it was not a TED Talk, but something like a TED Talk where they were like, hey, one of the things we learned about moon dust is it's very rich in oxygen, and through the, what is it called? The I can't say it.
Electrons?
No, electrolysis. It's separating it via electricity. You can remove the oxygen from it.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
And it's weird that they just made a plant.
Well, I mean, it makes sense with one of the things that people bring back when they go to the moon is a bunch of rocks so they can study it and try to harvest stuff from it. And it's cool to see this stuff actually start going to now more of a development phase where it's like they can synthesize oxygen from rocks. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts, and that's one of the things.
I don't know if you know this. We need oxygen.
Yeah. So. If humans are going to have a long-term presence on the moon, they're going to need breathable air and rocket fuel. The ESA might have just created a way, both using the moon itself and a plant. The agency is running a prototype plant that converts moon dust, currently simulated, of course, into oxygen that could be used for air and fuel. The technique unlocks the high amounts of oxygen in regolith. I don't know how to pronounce that.
You nailed it.
Using molten salt electrolysis that superheats the dust and migrates the oxygen along with the salt into collected anode. A lot of scientific terms I don't know about. The basic process has already been used for metal and alloy production, but the ESA tweaked it to ensure oxygen was available to measure. Just really cool that we're getting into the point to where it's like we could start figuring out space stuff too now. It's like that's big because if it can convert it into oxygen and we can plant a bunch of those on the moon, it's like
moon base 2050. We got it.
Yeah, and like we can ruin another planet. You know what I mean? Or a moon.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing that you're more of the science guy than I am. I mean, that's one of the reasons I threw this in.
I like science.
Yeah, but it's so crazy to me how technology allows us to be able to make our own plant that like transforms moon dust into oxygen to be able to live on. Like it's crazy, and it's
we just got to figure out a way to get hydrogen, and boom, we got it. Water,
and
air, and we're all set. Yeah.
So cool. That's one. I don't know if you have more to say on this. Like I said,
no, I'm
not a smart person.
It's one of those things that it's like, man, it's cool that people are working on this stuff because, like, you know, the world's not going to a great place with the environment. So let's see what we can do to the moon. You know what I mean?
Do you know more about this in terms of like because it says it's a prototype, right?
Yeah.
Or a simulation. So I guess the plant's not like here yet, but
Yeah.
do they just do that through like gene splicing and like
Gene splicing?
I don't know.
No, gene splicing has nothing to do with that. No, but like this is like I said, this is something I had seen years ago, and it's cool to see progress on it, and to like where we're gonna take it. It's one of those weird things. Like if creating alloys, one of the byproducts is oxygen. That's great because now they're making metal and getting oxygen out of it.
Yeah.
You know, that's really cool and very interesting. And there sure is a lot of moon dust up in the moon.
Yeah, a lot of.
I don't know
it,
if you
from
know
what I
about
hear.
that. It's covered in it. Also, extremely sharp.
Sharp.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't
because
inhale it?
there's not like a lot of friction there, so things just settle. So it like you know how sand is like not very sharp when you hold it. It's not like holding glass.
Oh yeah,
because it's broken down. It's
Mhm.
rubbed together. But in the moon, when things land, like they just stay there. Nothing moves them.
Man.
So everything's
Inhale
supposed to be. It's inhaling. No, like the fear is like the suits. Like it could fuck up the suits people wear. That's why they have to be so
I didn't know that.
sturdy. Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah.
See, this is why you're the science guy. Be able to talk to a lot more than I can. But something I can talk to that I've been warning about for a long time now, a big debate between you and me. Google and Alphabet CEO Sundar, how do you say his last name?
Piche.
Piche.
Sundar we got down. You know what I mean?
CEO Sundar takes his sweet time getting to the point in the new Financial Times editorial, but when he gets there, he leaves little room for interpretation. There is no quote. There is no question in my mind that artificial intelligence needs to be regulated. It is too important not to. After laying out his relationship with technology and offering a few examples where innovation has had unintended negative consequences, Sundar makes the case that AI is powerful and useful. We must balance its potential harms with social opportunities. Of course, this calls for balance, leaves some question to how tight the regulation Sundar is talking about. He doesn't specifically rebuff the White House recent calls for light touch, nor does he suggest the EU's more comprehensive proposal goes too far. Again, when you see... This is something that always worries me when you see Bill Gates, when you saw
Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
So,
He's a bit. He was really scared about AI.
Yes.
Like he would always be like, "Yeah, they're gonna kill us all." Just so you
I
know,
mean,
like there's no way they're not gonna kill us all. And it's like he was a real smart guy. So it's scary when he says it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then like you have Bill Gates, you have Sundar all like saying like, "Hey, warning us."
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is the first time I've seen someone call for regulation. I've always seen for like, "Hey, we should be careful with this because this could be really, really bad."
I think, and I was saying this earlier before we were recording, where it's like these are the first steps taken, like similar to when Y2K was a big thing, where it was like it's a name that's scary, right? Like Y2K for 2 years was like, oh, it's an impending threat that's gonna ruin everything, and then it just happened, and everyone was like, oh, everything's fine.
Yeah.
We didn't know that there was a lot of back end stuff being like done to make sure that nothing went wrong. And I think this is the same thing. This is the start of like the back end work that is going to make sure that in 50 years, we're going to be like, oh yeah, we had to do all this to make sure that like AI kept itself within, whatever parameters are considered safe.
Well, and that's what he was talking about. It has to be like on a global basis too. Like you can't have
That's
China
the hard thing.
being
That's the hard thing.
ridiculous things because we can regulate in the United States, but at the
Right.
same time we don't want to fall behind.
Yeah.
So it's like it's crazy to me that there is no regulation on it. Like there really is no anything on it. It's kind of like the Wild West right now in terms of like the
And that's the
development
thing.
of these
I don't
AIs.
think there's ever going to be a sort of global regulation. There's always going to be countries that are doing their own thing.
Yeah, I mean even right now with China with their what am I thinking?
I don't know. Give me a little bit more. Anything more.
Their what's it called with the not gene splicing. I don't know why I keep going to that, but it's with stem cells, right?
Are you talking
they
about
have
CRISPR?
like a lot of
CRISPR
CRISPR.
technology?
That's what I'm.
That
thinking
is gene splicing.
about. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Nailed it-
All right.
nailed it
Good
this
job.
time.
Yeah. That's a whole nother bag of like surprises there, where it's like there's some really cool stuff happening with the CRISPR technology, which is gene slicing, creating essentially something that comes in there and can change the DNA of something else. It's really interesting, but it's also very like we don't know all the like full-blown consequences of it. United States is being more moderate with what they're doing and what they can do, where other countries aren't. So it's interesting, like like the idea of weaponizing that is scary because like that is a very much a possibility.
Yeah, and that's the thing where it's like the U.S. is so like regulated on it, where it's like, and now you go into AI where it's like that's like China's like they can take something from Google and then they could just develop that and make it better because they're notoriously known for stealing tech and like rebranding as their own and being able to develop off that.
That's what happens when you like go into a country and you're like, hey, it's cheap labor here. Here are all our plans.
Yeah, you have no. I mean, they don't spend anything on R&D really.
Yeah.
Like their stuff.
I mean, that's not necessarily true.
I mean,
they have had a lot of problems and a lot of lawsuits.
Yeah, but especially on something like AI where it is really like learning, like you can grow it and it can learn, it can become its own entity. Where it's like we were talking with Bali,
We're
like
so
it
far
sounds
away from
cool.
that, yeah.
Are we though?
Yeah, I still think we are.
With how things are going, it's like Bali could kill you in your sleep. Like I was telling you,
Bali cannot kill you in your sleep.
Yeah.
What I would like for Bali to do is cut my nails in my sleep, because that's not something I'm on top of. If Bali could roll up and just be like yum, 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 your delicious nails.
Yeah, and that's where it starts. But then there's no regulation, and then the Chinese company is able to inject their AI or like whatever, right? And not to like paint like a boogeyman, but it's like you could like.
The truth is, like, all this information is being like put together not to like control us or kill us, but to figure out ways to like make us spend more money.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's like you have a Google CEO whose bottom line is let's make as much money as possible, right? Calling like when do you see big?
Every
companies,
CEO's like mindset is that.
But yeah, but when do you call like when have you seen a big tech company call for regulation? Like. That's the last thing that they want for anything. And it's like that kind of shows the dire situation that AI could be. Like you have these companies being like, okay, well maybe there's some morality things here that we should probably cover before, just instead of making money. I'm scared of it. It's cool.
I just feel like it's so sensationalized where it's like you don't have to be scared of it. Not yet.
But that's the thing. You say not yet. Like it could, But
the right minds are putting in work on preventing anything bad from happening.
We'll see. That's how it always starts. That's how every horror movie starts.
Yeah, but like in reality, that's not how life starts. You know what I mean? Except for the environment. That went to hell, and we fucked that one up.
And we can fuck this one up too.
Sure.
I don't know. I think you're too lax on it.
I think AI is gonna come sentient one day and be like, "Oh, how do we fix the world?" And they're gonna figure it out.
Let me know.
Go on, robots, figure it out for us.
That's how they fix the world. Let me know in the comments down below. What's your opinion on AI? Should it be regulated? Should we be cautious of it, or is it great? Is Bali gonna trim your toenails in your sleep?
That's all I want, Bali. Get on there. Nom nom nom.
This is another really interesting article that I found. It's basically about deepfakes. Facebook's problems with moderating deepfakes will only get worse in 2020. I don't want to go too much into this article, but I want to hit like all the actual factual points. So there was a deepfake that circulated of Mark Zuckerberg, basically being like. He's gonna take total control of billions of people, stolen data, all their secrets, their lives, their futures, like just like a scare. Like
for the people that don't know what deepfake is,
correct.
Let's talk a little bit about that because that technology is really rad
and it's gotten
scary,
crazy.
Yeah,
especially with like you can deepfake like audio now. Like
there was synthesized audio.
Did you see that one? Okay, so yeah, let's cover what deepfake is. Right.
Yeah.
It's basically where you can fake a video of someone.
Well, what it does, it compiles up to like thousands of pictures of someone's face, like with different expressions, and it then can use that to match videos where it's someone else talking, and then they can overlay that face and synthesize the whatever. In one of the videos that I'd watched, it was Obama. Recently, actually, Obama as Black Panther.
There's Obama and there's a Rogan one.
Yeah? I didn't see the Rogan one.
The Rogan one is creepy.
Yeah. Well, it's just, what's crazy to me is that, like, channels like Quarter Digital are putting together videos where it's like they had, I can't remember who, they had like 3 people impersonating 3 different actors. One of them was Tom Cruise, and they were all in there impersonating their voices. And the deepfake looked so good, and it's one of those things where it's like I've seen stuff like there was the God, I'm so bad at like names, but like the dude that got killed in the Iran guy.
Oh,
they got killed recently with the bombings.
Soleimani.
Yeah, they had a video with Obama shaking his hand, and it was like that was all deepfaked, where it wasn't actually him. The flags were all fake behind him. They had changed everything, and it was one of those things that like that video was being passed around in like Republican circles, and it's just one of those things like it looked so real, and it's because people it's the internet, so they can immediately like do research and be like, no, here's the original footage, but it's like the accessibility of that stuff is so
and all
scary.
It takes is one. Like the damage could already be done before it's like, oh no, this is fake.
Right. There's so many people that probably don't know those videos are fake.
And then, especially now, when you have people who are like, oh, well, you're saying it's fake because the government's saying it's fake.
Right.
Blah, 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 right? And then, it's a snowball effect. Like, it's already, the cat's out of the bag. And that's the advanced side of deepfakes, but then you have, like, the face swap filters and like, the age filters, things like that.
And that's something this article was talking about, where Facebook ended up keeping that Mark Zuckerberg video up because they were like, if we limit what the deepfake technology is, we're not going to be able to use the Instagram face apps that like make you old and like.
And people give them shit too, but at least like that they have like a
rules,
at least a line where it's like, well, we can't do this because like then we're hypocrites, in X, Y, or Z, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people give them shit, but it is interesting because it is like that technology is getting better and better, and right now like to do like the ones that you're talking about, it does take some skill. And like even like the gender swap or like the face swaps.
Yeah, the
like,
one that makes you old or young.
Yeah. Like those are already like really, really good. Like the old one that went around, which also might have been a Chinese company, but they have my face scan now.
I think that was a Russian company.
Yeah, you're right. They have my face scan now. But like it looks so real.
Yeah, it looks
like,
great.
It looks so real.
Yeah, that technology is crazy.
And that's the easy one, right? So it's gonna get easier and easier to where it's like you're gonna see more of these videos, and like they're right. Their stance is like, oh, if it is like misinformation or like has ill intent, then it will be taken down. But what algorithm's gonna be able to tell the difference between like that's the thing with AI, right? It's like how, or even an algorithm is like, how are you gonna be able to tell in like intent? Like how is it?
Yeah, so that's one of the things that this article was addressing, where they're like the AIs that we have right now, the technology can catch most of this stuff, but the problem is the intent of the video. And like that's where it has to go to real people to actually sit there, watch the video and be like, no, this is meant to be a joke video. This is not just trying to like falsify information. And it's like that's interesting because maybe that means more jobs for people, but at the same time, like there's no way that like they'll ever have enough jobs to like look at all the videos and like take down what is necessary.
Such a big job, and then
big job.
So this is kind of their stance, right? So Facebook said it will remove manipulated, misleading media which has been edited or synthesized using AI or machine learning in ways that aren't apparent to an average person and would likely mislead someone into thinking that the subject of the video said words that they did not actually say. But the company noted that this does not cover parody or satire or misleading edits made using traditional means, like last year's viral video of the Nancy Pelosi slurring her words. As many have pointed out, these completely skipped the thing. Reddit, meanwhile, didn't mention. So Reddit's also going to be on this. Reddit, meanwhile, didn't mention AI, but said it will remove media impersonations of individuals or entities in misleading or deceptive manner. My bad. It also created an exception for satire and parody that added that it will always take into the count of context of any particular content. It's very interesting because that is going to be, like I said, an algorithm can't prove intent. You are going to have people manning this, and like, where's that line of like, right. I don't know if you know the comedian Kyle Dunnigan, but he does like the face swaps on Instagram. Great Instagram, by the way.
Is he a bigger guy?
Follow him. No, he's a super skinny guy.
Oh, okay.
But great Instagram, by the way. But he does like the face swaps and he does impersonations, and it's hilarious. But that is a problem. Is like, what is the algorithm, and like, what is the intent? Because it could be like a face swap, but he says something they don't like. Like that's the thing. It's such a line.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
and like it's interesting because even having someone actually moderate it, like a physical person that's sitting there being like making the decision, that's such a like iffy place too, where it's like, what if that person just is not making the right call? You know, it's there's so many gray like areas that that are being created right now.
And especially in the political climate where it's like you could easily release like, you know, if candidate X, Y, or Z like saying like outlandish shit.
Yeah.
And it's like like I said, once that cat's out of the bag, it's out of the bag. Like people, once they see that, especially older people who don't really understand like where technology is now, like they're gonna take that for like face value.
I heard
like,
X, Y, and Z say, you know, this and that, and it's like, well, was it real?
Yeah, and we're living in that time where it's like it's gonna be so bizarre. Like we're not gonna know what's real, and especially with that Rogan clip I was talking about, it wasn't necessarily deepfake in terms of like facial, but it was AI machine learning for audio.
Yeah,
and so basically
that's been really interesting because that I feel like over the last year has gone from like, oh, you can tell this is like audio that's been cut together to like it is like that Black Panther video that I was talking about with Obama. Like they have Obama doing the Black Panther lines. It's his voice. It's still a little off, but it's so close to not being off.
I'm going to show you the Rogan one after this, but it like, because especially with someone like him, it's easy because you have hours and hours of speaking. So that machine's able to go through everything he said and be able to make up it was about like how chimps should have their own hockey league. And blah, blah, blah. And like just some weird shit you talk about too. Yeah. But you cannot tell the difference. Like there's maybe 1 or 2 points where you're like, okay, that sound right. It doesn't really sound right, but like you have hours and hours on this guy just talking, especially like and what we do in the microphones hours and hours a day. It's like super easy to be able to do that. And then you match that with a deep fake face and like it's over. Like it's like it's going to be hard to tell what's real, and especially in this time where
it's just one of those things
such like, face.
It's over, or like people's trust in videos is gone.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like people's trust in articles are already gone, like in like media in general. So it's like videos where it is like, that's a big thing. Like that's how you prove people like people said X, Y, and Z, saying they didn't say X, Y, and Z, and you can go back and you can see a video of them saying X, Y, and Z. Now we have to question like, oh, well, did they really say that? Like it's getting to such a weird point, especially with Facebook, with catching so much flack from the last election where it's like, oh, you're like misinforming people with these articles and blah, blah, X, Y, and Z, right? It's like now we have this whole other layer on top of it, whereas media and audio being like doctored. And we're just in a weird time.
Yeah, it's wild.
Weird time. Is there anything else you have to add to this? Because like I said, this to me was probably one of our most fascinating, like the most fascinating article that we had, just because to me that's so interesting. And go back, I'll probably link it below that Rogan video, just because the audio is to the point where it's like it could be implemented.
Am I correct to say that the first time like deepfake like came to like popular knowledge was when it like was added to porn? Because like that's the first I heard of it probably a year ago, where it was like, oh shit, like they're doing this technology, and like I think Pornhub was like taking all the videos down that were implementing.
Yeah. I think that, or what was the first big one? I remember. Well, no, like the face swap shit was like the first time that like to me it got like noticeable.
Yeah, but I feel like that because that was an app that people were using, I didn't realize that was deepfake till way later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where like it was synthesizing like someone famous on someone's face that like isn't doing the actions, you know, like where it first like hit widestream media.
I'm trying to think of the first deepfake I saw, but I can't remember at all. Might have been porn. Who knows? Crazy. We're living in a strange time.
Indeed we are. AIs, man.
Well, that was we talked some tech there.
Yeah, that was the news for this week.
That was. So let us know if you have any additions to our podcast every week. You can go ahead and email us at techfeverpodcast@gmail.com. Add to the conversation, get your questions in, and if there's something you think we should talk about, tweet at us at Cheeks Jr., at Kevin Coello, or Kind of Funny Kevin.
There it
right?
is.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Or email us. We will discuss it here on the podcast. But now we are into the tech review portion of the show. I have something. It was actually the Black Magic, the Atom Mini, which I talked about in the top of the show. This guy right here, if you're into podcasting or doing any kind of production where it's like multi-camera stuff, or even streaming, you eventually are going to want a switcher. This is the most affordable switcher, $400.
That's really
it's
cheap.
It's a 4-camera switcher, which is a lot of inputs. You can't broadcast directly off of it, so you would need a computer, which most of the time you're going to have.
If you want a switcher with a computer in it, it's a TriCaster, and those are insanely expensive, like $60,000.
Yeah, very expensive.
Yeah.
So this is definitely the cheaper way. And from what I used of it, it is very handy. I did 2 cameras and a computer and a PS4. Now this one, obviously, there's a defect on it. I do have to send it back. The first HDMI port actually gives me like little green lines that like kind of glitch.
How many total HDMI ports on that bad boy?
4.
Okay.
Or 5 with an output.
Okay.
So you can actually output the whole
the
broadcast
feed,
into like a
TV.
confidence monitor or whatever.
And does it also, like, can you just directly send that into OBS, or do you need...
So that's what's super neat about this is it reads as a webcam.
That's really cool.
So
that's really cool.
Yeah. So it's another thing I was talking to you about last week. Right. I got this like the day of when we did this show last week. It takes all your signals. So if you have a PS4 reading 4K and outputting to a 4K TV and a 1080p camera, it downscales everything all to the same.
To the one format.
One resolution, and one frame rate.
Which is really interesting because at work, it's kind of funny. We use the ATEM 4K, I can't remember the name, 4K Studio, I think it's what it's called. And like that's the professional larger version of this, which is significantly more expensive. And for a while, like if you have different outputs, it's such a difficult thing where we have to buy the machines called decimators that basically take in a signal and then turn it into whatever you want so that we can feed it into the thing. So everything is in the standard. We shoot 1080, 2997. And it's so interesting that this does that. They're newer control base that they sell. So you buy a switcher, but you also need a control base. You can use the computer to like control everything, but it's nice to have an actual control board. Yeah. Their newer model came out with 10 inputs that did the same thing, worked as decimator. And decimators, the thing we were using to switch the signals, are really expensive, like $400. I'm gonna say, yeah.
And that's the thing. This packs a lot into $400. Now, there are some gripes that I'll talk about in a second with it. But if you're trying to do this, one, this is newer, so it will have that downscaling ability, which, like I said, would be really helpful for you guys and really cost effective for you guys. Whereas, again, if you don't have a lot of money, $400 seems like a lot. But for a switcher, the next one up from this one, in terms of... like the same level is the Roland VHD-1, and that's about $1,300.
Yeah, that's a big jump there.
3 input switcher does the downscaling.
3,
yeah. So you have so you could really only do like a 3 camera setup or a 2 camera setup or a game computer and a camera, like any combination of that with HDMI. It also has what's the SDI slots on it as well.
Oh, that's cool.
So, just another way to be able to connect everything. But the one thing that one has that this one doesn't have, it has the connection, or has like a little knob where this is my biggest gripe, where you can actually control the picture-in-picture, because you can do picture-in-picture on this.
It's wild that it doesn't let you change it around.
Yeah, and it has the lever to be able to do the transitions, like which you probably never use, to be honest, because we
use it sometimes.
Yeah, for like funny bits to make it like corny. Yeah. But like when you're trying to do like professional hard cuts are better. This one in the software has that switch. But not actually on the board, and the picture-in-picture on this, it's a button that you press, and you can drop it in any of the 4 corners, but the one downside of it is you can't really move it.
Interesting.
And you can make it bigger, but you can't really move it around. And to make it bigger, you have to go into the software, whereas on the Roland one, with that knob, you can grow it, and you can move it around anywhere on the screen.
Yeah.
So that to me...
Sorry, really quick, I remember the name of the one we have in the studio. It's the 4K 2ME. Which means that it has 2 like effects like that you can put into it, which means like green screening. You can do 2 layers of green screening. They've actually updated it since then, where now you could do 4. This is the 4ME. Yeah. Which was a really, really cool upgrade that they did that like they didn't have to do.
What do you mean by layers of green screening? Like the up key and
layers.
Down key?
Yeah.
So this has up key and down key.
That's really cool. Wow, for $400.
Yes,
wow.
So like I said, for the value, like I said, if you're not doing a lot of picture-in-picture stuff, this is one of the things is we want to stream games, right? So like it really helps. We can do that all through OBS.
Yeah.
But to make it easy, right? That's the whole point of all this stuff, is to make it easier and better and just nicer. It bugs me that you can't move around the picture-in-picture. and the roll-in one you can. But yes, this does have up king and down king, so it is 2 keys.
That's right.
And it from what I didn't get to play around with the king a whole lot, but from what I read on the reviews of this guy, it has one of the best keys.
So Black Magic, which is the company that makes
Black Magic Atom Mini.
The company that makes them bought, I guess now this is like 3 years ago, another company called, I think it was Ultravision, something like that was a keying company that like specifically sold keying like effect, like so you can green screen something out. And once they did that, like 6 months later, they implemented an update that like made the keying way better. So it's cool to see a company eat another company and utilize it well.
Yeah, I mean, it really, and so from the videos I've seen too, it does a phenomenal job. Like especially with shadows, it keys it out really, really, really well.
Yeah. The what you're talking about, the moving around the thing, is a effect called DVE. I can't remember what it stands for, but it is one of those things that like, even with the version we have, you can only have so many DVE effects at the same time, where it really is 2 at most. Otherwise, it's like it can't handle it, and it's one of those things that it's like I don't know how the components work that make that happen. I wish that we had more flexibility so that I could add more pictures.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. But like I said, this is not bad for the price at all. Yeah. You're out there streaming or you're doing a podcast at home, and you have multiple people on, and you have a couple cameras. Anything with a clean HDMI out, you can plug into this, which is really, really cool, and get the same because it does the downscaling, so you can get the same.
Bitrate
bitrate and resolution.
Same quality, yeah.
Out of all of them, so I mean, you can theoretically do like a phone, like technically you could. You can.
I mean, with the Big Brother today on the KFAF show, we did the iPad coming in through one of the feeds.
Yeah. And you just put that bad boy in airplane mode and you're set to go. Like, so you don't get any of the pop-ups.
Oh, notifications.
Yeah. And then you, like I said, you can get, like, if you have, like, I was experimenting with the Canon C100, and then we had the A6300, the Sony, and switching that around. So it's cool, and it's very affordable. Like I said, my one gripe with it's the picture-in-picture, and just the fact that the Roland has that and has a couple other features like XLR inputs into it.
Yeah.
Makes it a little bit more.
Do you have any XLR devices right now?
Yeah, all these mics are XLR, and then the
I'm sorry, XLR. I was thinking SDI.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's the thing. SDI is just an added benefit to it. For down the road or whatever. We're really probably not ever gonna use it, but it's there.
Yeah.
But the big feature, like I said, is gonna be that little control knob, and then it has a couple more effects and things that you can do on it. I don't know if you can key on that one. But a lot steeper of a price point. So if you're looking for a little switcher, this is a great little switcher. The only downside is the picture-in-picture, but I'm sure you can adjust the your picture overlays and everything like that, so it doesn't overlap on the picture-in-picture. But it's like I said, $400. This is not a bad thing. Just not exactly what I wanted.
Black Magic over the last couple of years, I guess that's not fair. Over the last 6 years, has gone from a company that was not super known for great devices to really stepping up their game and making a prosumer market. It's done great stuff there because the prices of these machines beforehand, it was all
ridiculous.
Yeah, very, very expensive. That was professional equipment, and you're talking $30,000 per unit that you needed. Now it brought it down to something I want to say between $3,000 and $6,000, which is way more reasonable for a company like Kind of Funny.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying. But with the there's a $3,500 one that you can get, and it looks very similar to your guys's.
I imagine that's ours.
Yeah,
the one we have. Yeah.
So I mean, that's that's a great price if you're into doing your own media thing and that's your full time thing. But again, if you're doing a side thing like we do here at Play Everything, $400, and you see more and more of this. We were talking about on the first episode from CS, Roland's little pocket studio for cameras, mobile and everything, and it broadcasts directly off your phone. And
that's rad. Yeah,
you're seeing more and more of this. Okay, well, people do this, so let's
make products for
them, and it's so cool because it makes it so easier to where it's you guys could get the prosumer one, right? But we can get the consumer one here, where it's okay, it's a more
$400 is so reasonable, especially with two the upstream and downstream keys. That's really rad.
Yeah. So if you do this kind of thing, or you're interested in doing this kind of thing, and you want it to look a little bit more professional or have a little bit more control over what you're doing, this is a really, really great option. Another downside of this I didn't bring up. It doesn't have the software. with the studio software where you can actually see it. But like the preview of it.
Yeah, the even the big dog one doesn't have it. Yeah, at least the big one is made to be plugged into a monitor that has the multi-view, which is 8 for the big one. It can take 16 inputs, so you can see on one monitor 8 at a time, plus your preview window and your program window. Program window is the window that is the live feed.
Live, yeah.
Yeah, so that's I feel like that is unfortunately like standard, where you have the out feed on there, which serves the same purpose. You don't have the multi-camera shot or the multi-view shot, but
yeah. So that's the other thing. But again, for like a stream or like a basic podcast, you have your MacBook here. You could be doing it like you don't have to have like a Sean Flowers on the board or a Tombo on the board, where you're have them control it. Obviously, if you're a one-man team, you can have this right here, your laptop right here, and then like a little soundboard and be able to do your own stuff, which is super cool.
Yeah,
it's like this stuff.
I do think that like a Stream Deck also gives you a similar like setup if you set it up correctly. It's more legwork, especially if you're doing everything through OBS. But you can set up scenes that have different stuff already set up. So like there are other options, and the Stream Deck's pretty cheap.
You not through like a Mac, but like on a PC, you could do like multiple cameras.
Yeah, and
you can switch between those multiple cameras, and like if you.
But you do have to suffer with different issues of like how do you get that camera feed to go into the computer?
Yeah, so, and it's a lot more troubleshooting. Whereas this is so much more plug and play, where it's like literally you don't have to set up 9 different sources on OBS.
Yeah.
You can literally set up one source, 2 sources with audio on OBS, or you can even run mics through here. It's just a 3.5, which is uses 3.5.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Just or 1/4. Give us a 1/4 input. Anyway, but again, $400. You can't really complain.
Yeah.
But, with this one, it does have a defect though, so I do have to send this one back.
That's unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. Yeah. But it was only in the HDMI 1 slot, so that is my review of Blackmagic's Atom Mini. I would recommend. It didn't particularly work for us. I was a little disappointed with the picture-in-picture, but for most people, this is going to do the job, especially at that $400 price point.
Just maybe don't be so picky.
Definitely
just don't be so picky.
I'm very picky.
I know.
Sean, how picky am I? I caught him off guard.
There you go, Sean. You got it. Just press the button. Just press the button. You got it.
Poor bastard. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you out like that.
Just yell it.
I'm ready. You're very picky. All right, that's all I have to say.
I have to have like the top line shit, huh?
You really do. There's no reason you should be shooting right now on a C100 Mark II.
It's really bougie. It's really annoying.
But it's a beautiful camera, so good for you.
But it makes it all work. You know what I mean, Flowers?
I mean, we keep the world turning, so it is what it is.
Flowers on the board. I did forget to intro you. I'm sorry.
It's good. I didn't really talk anyway.
It's good. I appreciate you. He's on the board. Tombo couldn't make it today.
Why? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. He's a man of mystery, man. That Tombo.
Sleeping, probably.
You got anything, any tech picks of the week?
No, I didn't have any. I want to be more prepared before I dive deep into something. So hopefully next week I'll have something to talk to you about.
We'll see.
My bad.
One of these weeks. That's all good. Maybe episode 4. 4th time's a charm. So I guess my tech pick of the week would be this, the Atom Mini. Again, disappointing for me, but most people will get the job done.
One thing I really like about our ATEM that we have, I saw that there's an Ethernet port on the back. It is upsettingly complicated to set all the network connectivity stuff on it. But once you have everything set up, and if you have everything hardwired in, you could get a third-party app to control it from your phone. So
super cool.
Yeah. So like I've done it where someone was out and like we had to do something where I was switching from my phone while I was on like hosting before.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really fun.
You always have the cool stuff like the desktop one where you can go into your desktop and you can change things. Very cool.
And like that's an app that is easily available to everyone. It's a Chrome or Google remote desktop. You can search for it And like right now I can log into 4 different PCs at work and like make sure that files get transferred, or every once in a while, like I'll be out, like on Monday I was out because of the tooth thing, and somebody needed a lower third, got into my computer, made the lower third, sent it
crazy
to control.
Technology's so cool.
I sent it to a secondary computer that I also have the remote desktop in. I added it into the OBS that runs our graphics. I was able to do all of that while Barrett was running stuff on the show. That was just one of the
That's
things where he
crazy. I
turned
love
off the effect, and I was able to go in there, make the changes, add it, and then when he came back, you could press a button and it was there.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Technology's cool.
It's awesome.
Technology is rad. Well, so that's your tech pick of the week, and then tech steals of the week. Again, through Best Buy is what I do. All the tech steals of the week. $200 gift card with the purchase of Google Pixel.
Which one though?
The 4. What's the newest one?
Yeah, 4.
4. Yeah. So Google Pixel 4. So that's cool.
That phone is getting so much hate.
Yeah. I mean, Google in general,
Yeah. That sucks.
Rough year.
I like the 3, and the 3 got a lot of shit talked about it.
There's better phones.
There are worse ones too.
Yeah,
No,
there are definitely
all right,
worse
calm
ones.
down.
There are
Calm
definitely
down.
worse ones. I don't know. We'll see. I think this year is gonna be the year. Like I said last week, I think I'm gonna get that Sony phone.
Yeah. If I could get the Sony phone, that's I think the one phone that we get. We talked about this last week. That phone is one of the prettiest phones I've ever seen. Its aspect ratio is obscene.
Yeah.
Do we need to have an ultra wide phone?
Don't.
No, but God, it feels so good in your hand.
I love it.
Because it's really, really long, it's also narrower than most phones. And when you hold it, it just
feels right.
so right. Yeah. And again, the screen is the prettiest screen I've seen.
So I'm gonna do the Sony phone this year, and I also really want to try to do the Fold. Get some impressions. Maybe the Flip one. I don't know yet.
That Flip one seems so
crazy.
dumb.
I'm gonna get crazy this year.
So dumb.
For you, the listener. And free controller with the purchase of Xbox One X. Not really a whole lot going on this week.
The One X just went down in price.
Yeah. Oh.
Went down to $350.
$350 and a free controller.
Well, I don't know if is that what Best Buy is doing?
Well, you can price match at Best Buy. So
there you go. And
price match
Microsoft
that
Store
bitch.
is selling them online. We checked for $350.
Price match that bitch, and you get a free controller. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Some deals.
Yeah.
Deals of the week. Well, no listener questions this week, so we got pretty much wraps it up. Yeah. I know. Come on. You can send listener questions into TechFeverPodcast@gmail.com. You can follow me at Cheeks_Jr. You can follow Kevin at Kind of Funny Kevin. You can follow Kevin every week, every Friday, sometimes Thursday, sometimes Wednesday.
Friday this week for Screencast.
Friday this week on kindoffunny.com or youtube.com/kindoffunny on his show Screencast, Kind of Funny's entertainment podcast. And you can follow me right here, Play Everything, youtube.com/Play Everything, and PE_productions on Twitter. For any updates on when the show's going live, when we're recording, when we're going live on our other shows, invite only, and all that good stuff. Kevin, anything to sign off with?
AI is going to make our life better. They're going to fix all our problems.
And that's the last
thing
you
fix
heard
the environment.
from us. Until next time.
Give in to the overlords.